Welcome to the Vision and Light tutorial part 1. Vision and Light is one of those MapTool features that can really add a new dimension to your games, and a lot of fun as well. Here in part 1 we're just going to cover the general Vision and Light rules, using normal vision, assigning basic light sources, and how Fog of War works as well. In part 2 is when we'll get into how you can actually customize types of vision and types of light sources. So first let's look at the map we're going to use. You have a wilderness scene here, some trees, and you have a cliff that goes up and around this old abandoned manor house. You have a couple of goblins sitting up here on the edge of the cliff, some more goblins sitting in the woods here, and then I'll zoom in down here to the area where you have your two heroes, the hero and the mystic, coming along the road. So your vision settings are found in the map menu here. So just click on that, go down to vision. By default, all maps start off with vision off, which means you're just looking at basically a battle map with no vision and light anywhere. If you choose day, it means it's lit everywhere, so you can just draw in vision blocking, which I'll show you in a moment. If it's night, there's no light anywhere, so you have to assign light sources and then also do vision blocking. Now there's sort of a quick and dirty way you can do vision and light while leaving vision off, and that is by just turning on Fog of War. And here you see everything's blacked out because I have player view on. If I go to GM view, you can still kind of see what's going on. Then you can use the Fog of War tool to cut out sections of the Fog of War and just show your players what you want them to see. So that's a kind of a quick and dirty way you can do that. And then also just a tip in MapTool here, the shift key often reverses what you're doing. So in this case I'm using the Fog of War tool to cut away the Fog of War. If I press on the shift key and do it, I replace the Fog of War. So that can be kind of a quick and easy way to do that. So in order to show vision blocking, what I'm going to do is turn the Fog of War off, change vision to daylight, so now light is everywhere. And if I switch over to the eye tool here, that's called topology, also called vision blocking. And so what this does is these are lines that you draw in that block light and they block vision. Now in a scene like this that you're in a wide open wilderness and you have all these trees, you could grab one of the shape tools and start drawing in a bunch of squares where all the trunks are, but that would be hugely labor intensive and take you forever, so you probably won't want to do that. A trick you could probably do for this instead would be choose the line tool and just say, okay, in a forest of this density, how far could you reasonably see into the forest? And say you just pick a line right about here, then you left click to start the line and then just right click to continue it, and then left click to end it. So that would be how far they could see in. So now I'll switch over to player view. You can see how most of them disappear. The line when I drew it right through there, so you can see part of the token right there. But now I'll switch over to GM just so I can grab them and drag them beyond that line, but behind where these little squares I drew were. So now I'm going to switch back to player view. Now you can see as I point at the two different players, you can see where their vision lines are. And then if I grab both of them here and move them along, you can see how the vision changes as the angles change, and you can see more or less of those certain tokens. So now moving our heroes further up the road here, now you can see the cliff on your right and these two goblins right here. So how would you again do a cliff with vision blocking? I would say again just use the line tool. Just go a little bit behind where the cliff top is, draw your line, and then now you see how they disappear because they're back from the cliff. But here, I'll go to GM so I can see them again. If they come up to the edge of the cliff, now they're in view. So now I'm going to move our heroes up the road to the manor house itself. Now in the manor house, when I first reveal it here, you're going to see the whole layout because I haven't drawn any topology in yet. And I just want you to see me draw the topology, and that's why I've done it this way. But first I'm going to show you a little trick. I put the roof of the building over the floor plan, so you can select it and then make it not visible to players. So then pop, normally this would be all blacked out. But switching to GM view here, as a GM, this is still going to be here, so you're going to want to move that to the side. And I have a bunch of tokens here that I have not visible to the players. So I'll quick switch to the token layer, grab them all, right click, and I'll go down to make them visible to players. But here I'll quickly show you how you can very quickly draw in the vision blocking on a building like this. And also, I mean, I'm using a hex grid, but if you're using a square grid, when you're using any of the drawing tools, whether it's actually a drawing tool or the topology tool, if you use the control button when you're doing it, it will snap to grid. Now, I'm using hexes, so that doesn't work so well, but if you are using a square grid and you do your walls along the grid like many different buildings are in those type systems, then you can really quickly, put in the vision blocking. But regardless, even this way, as long as you make sure that your walls are a little bit thicker than they might normally be, you can draw them in quite quickly. You can see how the blue lines are appearing there. And you just want to make sure you do make your walls probably a little bit thicker than you normally would, so you have space to put in these lines, because you don't want the lines right along the edge of the wall, otherwise the players will just see, blackness. You want them to be able to see a little bit of the wall itself. And drawing that there, that there, and then I'll switch over to, I have all that drawn in. Okay, I'll switch over to the line tool just because I have a couple odds and ends here that are not all square. And then again, for the line tool, I can right click and just continue the line as I'm going. Then left click and done. Then here you see I have some places that are rubble that would be open, so I'll go back to my square tool and use the shift to do opposite and delete a couple of these spots where I have just the rubble going, or open doorway, some rubble here. So then a couple things here before I turn the fog of war on. First, go to my vision and turn it on night. So it's not lit everywhere, it'll just be for light sources. I'm going to give our hero here, let's use one of the generic light sources that are already in here. I'll give him a lamp. And then I'm going to go to the background, I believe is where I have it. Yep, and I have a little light sconce in here. And I'm going to give it, that go right off here. I'm giving him a candle strength. If you hear, I'll move this over here so you can see that. See his candles checked there. So those are the light sources right now. I'm also going to go into my preferences and go into application and I check auto show fog. So now this should auto reveal for me as I go. One thing to note about the auto reveal though is right now version 1.3 is just about finished, and it's right now auto reveal only works if you have snap to grid going for your tokens. If you don't have snap to grid going, then it doesn't work. I'm not sure if that'll make it into the final cut for 1.3 or not. So here goes Fog of War. So you see how that's auto revealed. Actually, I'll do the view as a player here so you can get a better view for this. So you can see there's the edge, and then as a GM, see there's the doorway. As he got up there, he said he's going to open the door. You would just erase, you'd have to manually erase that little bit of doorway for him. And then you have to move him a little bit to get the auto reveal to kick in. But then as he moves in to the doorway, that's revealed, and you see down this corridor here, your light only goes that far, and then you have the little candle that's here that goes this far. You have that black area. If this was a longer hallway, you could have a bigger black area in the middle there that you just wouldn't know what was happening. And as you move down here, oops, see I accidentally went over the line there, so that you have to watch out for that happening. But you can see what's going up and down here, and now you can see that the goblins have disappeared because the hard fog of war, the blackness, was revealed by the light sources, but as you move out of the range of the light and the vision blocking is there, you can't see where those tokens are. So now if you move up to this little door here, and let's say that your player says he just wants to be sneaky and just crack open the door, well then maybe you just reveal a little bit for him. So now as he moves there, he just sees the little crack through the door, and all he knows is, well, there's some talking going on in there and yelling and stuff, but you can only see two of the goblins. So that's really how Fog of War and Vision and Light and all that work. A couple of things to note before I go is that if you don't have auto reveal going, Control I reveals. That's a kind of a manual way to reveal what your light sources should be seeing, what your PC should be seeing with your light sources. And also, the only way that your players can actually reveal the Fog of War themselves is when you start your server, which I'll show in a future tutorial. There's some checkboxes, and one of those is allowing your players to be able to reveal Fog of War. So that's it for part 1 of Vision and Light. In part 2, we'll get into things like how you can actually create certain types of vision and certain types of light that have different shapes. or that can see at night with no light sources, or how you can color light sources, things like that, that come in very useful.